That time is past. That ship has sailed. And wouldn't you know it? I had nothing to do with it. What is it, Amy? Are you okay? Wants to know. That's a question that is relevant. The it is the thing that they are withholding. The information as a whole from our perspective that they're withholding in that sense. And that is the truth as to their participation in whatever happened to Jack and Lily and what happened immediately afterwards. There's a real hate on for Malaya. And there was since the very beginning, ever since Janie didn't like the way that Malaya's family came over and apparently didn't search like they were supposed to in this performance. They sat in there and ate all the food and they were laughing, making jokes. And she told the cops that because of that, she thinks that they have something to do with wherever Jack and Lily are. Yeah, there's some solar storm again going on this week. Is it peaking right now? Brenda Black, 1477. Thanks for reminding us. Could be. Could be. You've got to roll with the punches, right? Usually I think it's something that I forgot. That's why I go back and reset everything. That way I can go back and have a healthy baseline. Sometimes you do too much. Jen Nova, listen, they have to have the laser listeners on these people. Set up maybe some parabolic microphones around and run surveillance on them and see about the things that they talk about. All of the things that they talk about in the background would be very interesting. They can't keep up this fucking charade, even though I believe that Daniel is lying to his family and has done for quite some time. But there's more to it. A lot more. At some point, the RCMP are going to have them in a position to be able to hold something over their heads in which is going to motivate them to enforce them to admit to what it is that they've done. And they can try taking these secrets to the grave, but it's not going to work. They're going to toy with you in that courtroom. The trial is going to be fantastic. Intense. Janie has nothing to lose? Well, yeah, for somebody seemingly who doesn't have anything to do, JM221. Is that you, Janie McKenzie? Is that Janie McKenzie 221 in my chat right now, everybody? Say hi to Janie. That's probably Janie. She got nothing to lose. Yeah, you do. You've got everything to lose. Your freedom, honey. You're not going to be able to do your trips with Ron on Fridays anymore. You're going to be taking your trips to the bathroom. Maybe get a prison wife. Have date night with some commissary with some ramen noodle girlfriend. Play a little chess while they throw some Kool-Aid tint in your hair. No, you're not Janie JM? Okay. I could be so lucky. These were secrets they were going to take to the grave. They wouldn't be running their mouth like a freight train on social media. Yeah, they have the need to maintain their lies at some point. People are up in my comment section talking about how Janie and Daniel quit Facebook. Is there any truth to that? Have they dipped out yet? I have a hard time believing that. If they were innocent, they would not be going through all of this content creators to see what's being said. They're in full panic. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a real roller coaster every step of the way. Because, do you know why? Because they're lying. That's what makes it so scary for them. That's what's stressing them out. That's the reality of it. The fact that they're very uncomfortable at this point in time, not just on your screen, but even to this very day and tomorrow, because of where their lies and deception have gotten them. Your story, without its context, shows the world exactly that there's more to this, and you're omitting all kinds of relevant information that would otherwise admit to what really happened the hours leading up to that 10:02. That's what you want to protect. That was what was worth coming up with the fake story about. But it's so bad, it's easily disproven. So then you have to paint an accurate depiction of what it is that you found based off of the information the investigators have gotten, pulled together. And within all of that, there's all kinds of lies that you've told. And all they need to do is pick one or two just to convince the jury that you've lied. And these kids are gone and presumably dead now. You don't want to be cooperative. Not in the legal sense of the word. That's what it's going to come down to. I can see that happening. That's kind of what we're setting up for. And you still got this Dirtwood in the background going on about all of these ridiculous things and how much and who all he thinks he knows. Lobster claws permanently going around glazing Durwood. Wanting to associate themselves with the natural sympathy that Belinda Gray gets in this scenario. People can see through it, but it doesn't matter. They still proceed. She doesn't make sense. She sounds like a fucking idiot. She sounds deceptive because she is being deceptive. And it's not because she's a genius. It's because she's a fucking idiot. And she's choosing to lie her way through this and have somebody come along and disprove it. To rule that out in this circumstance. And that's the RCMP's job. Don't think for a second she's really sensitive around the RCMP, you've noticed. I would suspect that she was overly sensitive about things because she knows already at that point in time that the RCMP were searching her trailer, that she's already lying, and that's really what's making her cry. Why has her life gotten to this point, at this, so out of her control at this point? That has a lot to do with your attitude, sweetheart.
Well, I'm worried about my grandchildren. What impact this is having on them. I can recover from this. It's going to take me a long time. But just think what the impact has on my...
There's another funny admission right there, isn't it? I can recover from all of this. It's going to take me a while. Well, what's a while in her world? Like a couple hours? She's okay after a nap. She's fine. She's weathering it. She's tough. She stays out in that RV, dude. She's got to be satisfied with less in this circumstance. She's okay. She'll be okay. Don't worry about her, but I still want your sympathy. Don't worry about me. I can get over this, but I worry about all these kids. They are going around not knowing what it is that we did. Meaning Daniel and Janie. That's how she's presenting it, but she's speaking around that. You're so fucking stupid, honey. That's the level of desperation. But then when you start recognizing patterns, people get fooled and want to associate that with some sort of genius. No, it's just somebody lying. Oh, shit. Yeah, when you don't care, it would be easier to get over it. It's amazing to me how she can sit here and contradict herself successively for so many times. Like, that's 3 in a row, 4 in a row right there, where she says like the exact opposite things. It's not my problem. They're not my grandkids, too, but I considered them my grandkids. Almost correcting herself in the same statement. Holy Hannah. I still think the kids didn't make it back from Patty's, and Daniel's staying outside with the kids till Malaya come back to give Patty her bank card. Lori Green, that's cool. I mean, I'm open. I'm open to whatever. I know what it is, what we don't know, and I'm happy with that and being able to talk on it. In that sense, I'd rather recognize what it is that we personally, publicly don't know, so you can accurately understand what it is that the RCMP probably do. And beyond, right? So you have to assume that they have access, or they've had more information through interviews in that process. It's easy to see that they're lying. Why is it that they're lying in this circumstance? It would only have to do with the fate of Jack and Lily. Janie said that Timu was the worst addiction ever. LOL. Not her son's math addiction. Yeah, so she's already familiar with the power of addictions, eh? Maybe it's a topic that's been brought up. Yeah, good observation. Lily's screaming. Lily's saying, come on, Jackie, come on, Jackie. Jackie didn't like to walk in the woods, and if he didn't want to do something, he would cross his arms and say, It's probably her, I would expect. You know, I think probably it's the way that you're treating them, the way that you yell, the way and that you scare these poor children that you live around and resent because somebody's taken your bedroom, you old bat. Now you're out in the fucking driveway building a fence for this rotting down old leaky RV that stinks. People probably been murdered in it. It's nasty. Probably some sort of crime scene in of itself. And you've got it for free. You know, people get rid. It costs people money to get rid of these RVs. So they usually turn around and find somebody and convince them into taking this thing off their hands for them. Just sits around looking like shit. Next thing you know, you look like you look a little bit like trailer trash in that sense. I love RVs like the next guy, but RVs are meant to move, baby. They're not meant to be boarded up and just left to rot.
My grandchildren and Jack and Lily. How much it's hurting them. And I begged Malaya to come out and tell her side of the story.
So there we go again.
Answer the questions.
You've begged Malaya to come out and tell her side of the story, as though there's different sides to the story here, as though going back to this initial story that you called the RCMP with, about the kids wandering out the door, possibly being autistic and known to wander, has changed so drastically. Now there's sides to all of this that they're introducing, right? Further indicators that this individual is filled with guilty knowledge, and of course we're not fresh to this, just pointing out the highlights in the scenery here.
That we can't. I begged her to come out and talk for the sake of the grandchildren, for the sake of her children. You guys put yourself in my shoes and see how you would feel.
Uh-oh. This bitch can't stop making everything all about herself. We got one of those. It's going to be a long first date, isn't it? Whew. Now you know the reason that for speed dating. Because as soon as you realize, as soon as something slips out of somebody's mouth like that, you're like, next. Fuck, thank God I didn't get stuck in that one. Why don't you guys put yourself in my shoes? I know Jack and Lily are missing everybody, but why don't you guys try putting yourself in my shoes like Kent does? Thank you, Kent. Thanks for putting yourself in my shoes. Bonnie, I hope that I don't get suppressed at court just to hear if it's more about her negligence. They claim it looks... Listen, as a defense, in each one of these people's trials, it'll be different. You can see that Danny and Janie have well gotten ahead of that curve by putting all of this shade and developed a way of doing it towards Malaya. It's Malaya's fault that they were put into all of this. No, I would hesitate to say that it's your stupid son's fault for moving in after 2 weeks. Because he's got a bit of a fucking problem with telling the truth and his substance abuse issue. That's the initial problem, you old cow.
I stop, but slow down.
What? Wrong one. Excuse me. Lost my spot.
By the way, these behavioral experts are saying the way he's moving in his actions and everything and stuff like that. A mother knows the truth.
Oh, she's questioning all these behavioral experts. That would be Mike DeMann, myself, Ninchi, other people out there. Even the behavioral panel laughed his ass. They couldn't figure out if Daniel was autistic himself. They thought he was so neurodivergent. They figured he had an IQ of 60, which would be way under what I thought he was, which was 68.
About their child. I did not carry him for 9 months and raise him until he got out on his own. But I don't know what that boy's about.
She doesn't even know how to talk about Danny appropriately. You raised him until he got out? Doesn't that tell you about her parenting style? I raised Daniel until he got out. Got out of the trailer she was locking him in. Listen, I bet you Daniel spent a hell of a lot of time locked in rooms when he was a kid. He's going to get used to being locked down again. Come full circle. Michelle Maybell, yes, but also Janie pointed out the same thing, how abnormal it is that MBM wasn't hysterical. Yeah, but that's just a pattern of her trying to undermine. It's her way of driving mystery in it, because she tells you, she wants to tell you, kind of have you assume the possibility, then undermine it as though she's really putting a lot of thought into it. It's her way of deflecting. She wants to convolute every possible theory, rather than talk directly at the one theory that's most important, and that's the truth as to what happened. She wants to talk about everything else. It's part of that storytelling process. Why hasn't the tweaker shack behind Janie's had been taken down? CPS would not approve of it. Which tweaker shack? That one right there you're looking at? That's Daniel's getaway. That's where he goes up and locks himself when he plays with himself. He wants to get away. Go up there and look at porn on his phone. Hide out from the rest of the world.
Believe me.
Believe me.
You're a mother, you know. Your heart tells you. Yes, I can understand. But as I said, I have no control over Daniel, what he does and what he says. But what she said about me saying that that's the boy I raised and that's your son, that was an awful, awful thing to say about me. Because as I said, I have no control over Daniel. And yes, he is my son. And I love him a lot. But I am not going to stand up for him, because he's a big boy. And what he does and says is on him, not me. So, Sonny, the accusation that you said about me, that's my son. Yes, he is my son. And nobody will ever take that away from me. But the way you said it about him lying and everything has nothing to do with me. I think you should all go back and listen to what she said about me, and then you'll know what I'm saying. And another thing I can say is, I don't have to go on her show. I can go anywhere and talk that I feel like I want to talk. Just because I don't go on her show doesn't mean that I can't talk to anybody I want and say anything I want, because what's coming out of my mouth is the truth. And
well, see, it's weird because the truth is like one thing, and she's saying everything. She's saying all kinds of different things, you know? So what does one thing have to do with the other? The truth is very specific. You're being anything but.
By the way, I see her in Facebook chat too, saying stuff. So where does she have the right to tell me that the Facebook is not the place to go to chat? I could go anywhere I want. It's a free world and I have free speech.
Not really. It's a free world and you got free speech and you can say anything that you want. Mm-hmm. Interesting the things that pops up in her mind. She never ever finishes a statement, does she? It's like she says all of these things and each statement goes, you know, unfinished. It's incomplete.
I didn't believe...
It's a free world and she's got free speech. I don't know what fucking planet she's on, bro. That's not accurate, is it? Yeah, free speech. How about the truth there, GM? Like she's just got this. She's this rando like you and I. That is, she's trying to blend in that sense and pretend that she's just like you all, looking for the same information. You can't do that. You can't do that. Why would you want to do that? Why would you need to do that? There's an answer to that, friends.
Belittle Belinda. I just asked a question. And I have the right to ask the question, just like everybody else on Facebook has to ask questions. The only thing I asked her is, the question that I asked her is, for 2.5 years she didn't see her, for 2.5 years she didn't see her grandchildren. She can't blame Daniel for not seeing that. Daniel had no say in it. Melinda had her own mind. She could...
Who the fuck is she even talking about? Belinda, Melinda, Malaya? She fucks up their names so many times. It's like she doesn't even know who she's talking about.
Could have took Melinda court. She could have got grandparents' visitation rights.
They don't even exist, bro. She could have got grandparent visitation rights. See, she's relying on something that's as far from factual as possible. Grandparents don't have any fucking rights. All right? Been through it. People that... The funny part is, the people who think that they do have grandparents' rights are always the people that bring it to court and then find out, fuck around and find out. That's if there was such a thing as grandparents' rights, we would have a real problem with abuse. Unfortunately, it's not all the positive scenarios that you have to worry about. It's how it gets abused to begin with. Sometimes you need to cut family members out of people's lives, and it's just a no-brainer. Could you imagine if someone had grandparents' rights and posed that right and was abusing the children in that sense? Yeah, we don't put ourselves in that scenario. There's no such thing, Janie. You fucking idiot. For just such a reason. Grandparents' rights. Overbearing grandparents' rights, you mean? Oh, what part of the free world are you living in? She lives in a fantasy world. Oh, shit. Yeah. Grandparents don't need any fucking rights in that sense, especially when they're good people and involved in the children's lives in the first place. There's no real reason to have rights if everything's all right in the world now, isn't it? No real reason for them to be there in the first place. It's just a sound off from a narcissistic fucking psychopath whose priority it is to have the world ease down on their suspicions against them because it's becoming really inconvenient to them when they're trying to sleep at night. They don't even want to be accountable for their own emotions. That's your fault. Somebody else's fault. It's amazing that there's so much that's everybody else's fault in this particular situation with Jack and Lily, other than the individuals who were last seen with them. We're in a position of, we'll say, parenting. Although it's very difficult to say that. That's that term in this circumstance, because unfortunately it seems that they were just left to raise themselves. What's up, Candy? You're watching from Alberta? Yeah, are you on the verge of voting to separate? Interesting. Fuck, I'd probably move there if you did. For a little change. See what it's all about? Let's see. Doubt it'll happen. It's all about posturing and you know what, it's all over politicized nonsense, isn't it? I'm wondering if their own mom did something. You don't think the globalists already have it worked over? Oh, let's go have a referendum. That way we can really drive home the disinformation. Fuck, they had an election about anything. Do you think that you're going to tell you the truth? Why would they? Why would you? Heaven's sakes. Trying to control things, you got to be a little bit more Machiavellian. You're saying, and I'm wondering if their own mom did something and Daniel is covering up for her, maybe. Candy, it's not either or. It's probably yes. They're lying and covering up for a reason. And that reason actually doesn't matter. That would be directing to what motive, right? So it doesn't matter in the court of law what actually happened. All the court needs to know is that they're withholding and lying. They're withholding the information. They don't want to talk about it in that sense. And in the circumstance with two missing children, there's only one reason in the court's eyes, and that would be to protect their culpability in this matter. That's what's going to be established with them on the stand. It's like not opening your mouth, if you could get that. It's like saying nothing. They didn't just say nothing. They went far beyond and manufactured all kinds of bullshit on top of that to obstruct justice in that sense. Which in itself is an act of conspiring to cover up what the incident was. There's so much that's on with that. And guess what? That accessory after the fact can be 25 years. It can be life just as well. And it probably will be times 2 being an accessory. And really, you're just as guilty at that point if you're not coming forward and doing the right thing, Janie. You're choosing to protect Daniel in this sense, at very least, if not your own involvement in the incident, whatever that may be. Joyce, this is where Janie addresses Belinda's story about her crying on the sawhorse on Saturday, refusing to let them search. Then after discrediting Belinda, spins on the story to her crying on Friday, right?
As I said, just like I'm doing for my grandchildren. She had the right to do that. If Daniel was stopping her, she had the right to go to court and get visitation rights. And you can't sit there and not think about why she has not seen the kids in 2.5 years.
Think about how ludicrous what it is that she's saying. There's no such thing as grandparents' rights, like we just went on and on about. And then look at how Janie is so heavily hanging on and trying to force onto you that this fantasy grandparent rights thing is actually a thing, and it's she's putting that on Belinda and holding it against her, making her look, trying to make her look as though she's a bad person, less than trustworthy in this sense. What kind of individual has the need to do that there, Janie? We can see you're an evil bitch. You just made up grandparent rights and are trying to use it against Janie, or trying to use it against